Hey, and welcome back to the Emlyn in the Mix podcast, season 2, episode 48. We are coming to the end of a season, end of a year. Thank you so much for those of you, my regular listeners who have kept with me throughout the whole year. It really, if I think of it as a reflection, it really has been a massive journey. You know, we've had the ups and the downs, and we've had big release stories and news and things dropping and surprise products. It's just been a really awesome year, and I just want to say thank you so much for all of you guys who've supported me and kept listening to the podcasts throughout the whole year. And for the new listeners, if this is your first time, well, I'm going to be real with you. Today's podcast, I mean, it's a good podcast, don't get me wrong, but it's really light on the news because we're wrapping up the year now, basically. We've got 2 more podcasts left after this, and they're going to be a little bit different. No news roundups. We're going to be looking at, the next podcast is going to be looking at the top 10 soft synths for 2021, which I'm really excited to drop that. It's going to come midweek. It's actually going to come midweek rather than the Saturday or the Friday, whichever day it is that this drops in the world for you. For those of you who are new, this podcast is about music technology, music hardware, music software. And, you know, I've super enjoyed doing this podcast for you guys this year. And for those of you who've actually supported the podcast, wow, thank you so much. Who would have thought, you know, who would have thunk, is that the word? Who would have thunk that people would actually support a passion that I enjoy doing? Like, that is just phenomenal. And it's not that I can't afford to, you know, for example, pay for the distribution for this podcast. I do have to pay for it out of my own pocket, but I think it's more just when you get the support, it sort of encourages you to want to keep going, because is this podcast something that you guys need and want? Do you enjoy listening to this podcast? Is it worth something? You know what I mean? That's what's important. It's not necessarily the monetary side of things. So I do want to thank those who've actually supported it. And just in reflection to what we're going to do in season 3, I have no idea. More than likely, I'll probably keep going with this format. I really enjoy it. I would like to expand upon this format, maybe getting into more interviews, that sort of thing. But season 3, which will come out next year, just stay subscribed. We'll see what we come up with. We'll probably end up doing a similar format, but I've enjoyed doing the current format. And if you have been enjoying this and you do want to say thank you, or you think that this podcast is worthy, or you want it to keep going, or something like that, encouragement, the support link is down below. I'm not here begging for money or something like that. I literally, that support is just encouragement. That's all it is. It's not, you know, it's literally just so I can get this news to you guys. I do have affiliations in the music technology world with, you know, companies supporting me. So I really do appreciate that. And when I say support, they let me check out hardware or software, and that's what I bring to you guys. And yeah, I hope that you're enjoying it. Without further ado though, let's just get stuck into the podcast. Now, this first thing here, I actually really have no idea what it is, but I'm trying to bring you guys news on a very, very light news week. The first one here is from Serato. So it's a 12-inch Selection versus, or Serato, is that versus X Serato, The Sound of Tomorrow pair of vinyl, 12-inch vinyls. So, can your decks handle a decade of musical innovation? I don't think they can. Can they? Who knows? To top off 10 years of working together, bringing revolutionary beats to the world, Serato have collaborated with Selection on this slick control vinyl. So it's a control vinyl, boom. If you're using Serato software and you have turntables, then you're going to love this. So from an Apple Music One radio show to becoming the first collective to cop an invite to play Coachella, we all want to live their passion. It's more desirable than gold. It's the sound of tomorrow. So this gold yellow pressing holds a decade of soul, R&B and hip hop history with a Selection eye on each center label, looking to the future of the industry. What you do with that, it's up to you. So more or less, this is just literally a spin on their control vinyl, but it's a Selection series. So if you're a Serato user, you're going to love this. I mean, especially if you're an R&B hip-hop DJ, this may be for you. I do know what it is. I was just kidding when I said I didn't know what it was. It just seems like a weird product, but that's what we do on the podcast. Sometimes we cover weird things. You know, we have fun. That's the whole point of it. All right. We've got 2 pieces of news coming to us from IK Multimedia today as well. This first one is actually pretty good. So when I say pretty good, IK Multimedia does some great things. They release a plethora of products though, and sometimes it's hard ciphering through what is worthy of telling you guys here on the podcast. But this first one here, IK Multimedia releasing the MESA Boogie. Now, for those of you who don't know what a MESA Boogie is, more or less is a very famous or well-known amp in the world of amplifiers, guitar amplifiers, bass amplifiers, so forth. Now, December 9, 2021, this comes to us from IK Multimedia, releases Amplitube MESA Boogie 2, the much anticipated follow-up to IK's first MESA Boogie offering, bringing 4 new officially certified amps and 5 cabs to Amplitube 5. So now users can complete their collection of full throttle gear from the inventors of high gain tone. And all MESA Boogie 2 models have been precisely crafted using IK's latest modeling technologies, including DIM and VIR. I don't know how you pronounce that, VIR, to sound, look, and respond just like their hardware counterparts have been tested and approved by the R&D team at MESA Engineering. And modern amplification, plugging into the amp from this new collection user will be amazed by the levels of responsiveness, feel, nuance, and sound. IK worked hand in hand again with MESA to meticulously recreate every circuit and control feature of each model, achieving ultra realistic performance. And gear available in Amplitube MESA Boogie 2. The amps and cabs in MESA Boogie 2 were chosen for their significant tone shaping innovations. Users will find 3 groundbreaking amps from MESA's current lineup and one of their most desirable models from the past. And MESA Boogie's MESA's California Tweed series was 50 years in the making and designed to reinvent vintage tone. The new single channel old school amp aims at all sound Americana. IK's model is equipped with all the same features as the physical product, including MESA's incremental multi-watt power amp with duo class and dynawatt technologies, which provide 5 power, 2 operating classes, and 3 wiring configurations. And we've got 3 more here. MESA Boogie Triple Crown TC100 head, an amazing do-it-all amp. The TC's 100 all-tube amplifier features a multi-soak attenuator with 5 power options to tame its punch and aggressive performance perfectly. 3 channels offer a choice of pristine, clean, aggressive crunch, all the way up to massive gain, and each channel is fitted with voicing switch drive in channel 1 tight and channels 2 and 3. You got the MESA Boogie Mark V. The Mark V is really a collection of amplifiers from the original Mark I that introduced the world to high gain with its cascading preamp to the Mark II, and the world's first high gain dual model channel switching amplifier and its later siblings that introduced simul class power from Mark III that ushered in the era of 3-channel foot switching performance to the Mark IV and gave all the power individual control. And the Mark V is in the embodiment of all the last 40 years of MESA guitar amp history. So look, reading along here, looking at each model, you know you're getting a bunch of incredible history here in terms of the MESA collaboration here. And IK Multimedia, no stranger to emulation and doing software. They've surely done a great job. Let's have a quick listen. Here we've got a bit of a trailer for those of you on YouTube.
MESA Boogie 2 brings 4 new officially certified MESA Boogie amps and 5 cabs to Amplitube 5. Now you can complete your collection of high gain gear from the inventors of high gain tone. The amps and cabs in MESA Boogie 2 were chosen for their significant tone shaping innovations. You'll find 3 groundbreaking amps from MESA's current selection and one of their most desirable models from the past. Amplitude MESA Boogie 2 includes meticulously recreated and scrutinized models of the California Tweed. Reinventing vintage tone, this single-channel amp employs a 5-way power switch for a wide range of classic tones. The Triple Crown TC100. This 3-channel do-it-all amp has a multi-soak attenuator with 5 power options to tame its performance perfectly. The Mark V. Representing the embodiment of MESA's guitar amp history, this has the sought-after features of previous Mark editions. And the Mark II C+, the legendary amp and one of MESA's most coveted models, with all the enigmatic circuitry that earned its Plus rating. You also get 5 officially certified cabs in a range of configurations, with a choice of Jensen Blackbird or Celestion V30 speakers. We've also added 2 more speakers you can swap into any cab, the American J40 and the American J100. For each cabinet, we measured 600 distinct IRs per speaker, so up to 2,400 IRs per cabinet. All of these models have been precisely crafted using Amplitude 5's powerful modeling technologies to sound, look, and respond just like their hardware counterparts, and have been tested and approved by the R&D team at MESA Engineering. You can demo, try, and unlock these amps and cabs inside any version of Amplitude 5, including the free Amplitude 5 custom shop. Amplitude MESA Boogie 2. More full-throttle tones from the inventors of high gain.
Very cool indeed. There you go. Gives it the full overview. And if you're watching on the YouTube, watching the podcast here on the YouTube, you could see just how much work IK Multimedia has put into it. You know they do good stuff. I love, for example, the Moto bass emulation IK Multimedia does. They just do such good emulations of different bass models. And I know that this collaboration with MESA is going to be no exception. That is the MESA Boogie collection, brand new to IK Multimedia and included or available inside Amplitude by IK Multimedia. Very cool indeed. If you're a guitar player and you're looking for some new sort of modeled amp emulations, this is going to be for you. Don't even have to be a guitar player. You can use, these distortions, the MESA Boogie amplifications on various instruments and it'll sound great. Give it a whirl, try it out. The custom shop is also free, Amplitude Custom Shop, and I'm sure you can try it out in there. You might be able to get a trial or something like that. Next piece of news also comes to us from IK Multimedia, Fame Studio Reverb. So there's a reason Fame Studio is so iconic. Travel along with the revivalists to Muscle Shoals, Alabama to learn more about the recording spaces that have inspired and produced so many hits and are now available as a T-Rack S Fame Studio Reverb. So more or less, we're not going to play that video back there. You can jump onto the IK Multimedia if you are interested in how they did this. But more or less, IK Multimedia have also emulated this Fame Studio, which is, I'm not so familiar with this studio, but apparently they have a very good reverb or a reverb chamber in there. And now you can basically have this in software form. So now you can, here we go. Now you can experience the same Muscle Shoals sound in your recordings without leaving your desktop. Get ready for the newest T-Rack S family member Fame Studio Reverb. Coming soon, by the way. It's not actually out right now, but this is, a pre-sell, I guess. An entire studio worth of spaces in one plugin. T-Rack's Fame Studio Reverb offers a total of 9 spaces with 2 live rooms, 5 ISO booths, and an EMT plate reverb, and Fame's newly restored echo chamber plus modern and vintage modes for each, giving you a full state of reverb effects in a single plugin. And, some of the key points here. Captures the sound and vibe of the iconic Fame Studios, includes both studios and ISO boost chambers and plate reverbs, includes Fame's newly restored original echo chamber, dedicated mic positions per instrument deliver unmatched authenticity, console preamp modeled lets you add the vintage sound of Fame's original console for each studio space, newly improved proprietary VRM technology delivers the most realistic sound spaces ever, pre-delay and decay, time controls, EQ and mic options, dry and wet signal level controls with solo buttons, and works as a single plugin or inside T-Rex 5. Anyway, you get the basic idea. That is going to obviously sound amazing. We don't have any sound demos here, unfortunately, today, but worth checking out or keeping your ear out for that one. Especially if you like those room emulators. I love, for example, Waves does the Abbey Road Studios, and I've done a video on that. If you haven't checked it out, #subscribe, Emlyn in the Mix. Any opportunity I can get, #subscribe. Jump over to Emlyn in the Mix right now. Subscribe to Emlyn in the Mix on YouTube. That's more or less the podcast where you listen to right now. Podcast / YouTube hybrid. I don't know where I'm going. Sorry, I'm just being hyperactive. The coffees are helping. Yes. Support the channel. Get me a coffee, and I'll keep doing this podcast for many years to come. It'll make me happy. Anyway, I digress. I have no idea where I was going with what I was about. Oh, Abbey Road Studio by Waves. Love that emulation. Sounds so good. You put the plug-in on. It is honestly, does a freaking good plug-in, but I'm no joke. Just and by the way, no kickback at all. Especially today, like literally no kickback. Sometimes I get not really kickback. You know, I'll get music software companies will give me some software to check out. But kickback-wise, no. I only talk about the stuff that interests me in the world of music technology, recording studio hardware, software, whatever you want to call it. I'm passionate about it, and that's why I talk about it. And I'm a music producer, so I want to share with you guys what I think is good, and hopefully that's what this podcast brings to you. It helps you guys know what is good. Anyway, totally digressing. Back to Abbey Road Studios. Abbey Road Studios by Waves is fantastic. You can put it on your master channel more or less, and it just gives you the space more or less of Abbey Road Studio, which is a multi-million-dollar studio, which, you know, I can just have in this crappy little room here, and I'm in Abbey Road Studio. It's this sort of technology to me blows my. I love that stuff. I really do. All right, let's move along to the next piece of news here. It comes to us from Teenage Engineering. They're currently having a holiday sale, and I just thought I'd mention this. If you've been eyeing off Teenage Engineering, are you interested in getting something in the Teenage Engineering field? I mean, we got Teenage Engineering gear around. I don't know, you probably can't see in the background. I got some little, what are they called? The little OP, not the OP ones. I've got an OP one. Those little things, I forgot what they're called. They're the little calculator looking thing. They're on the screen here if you're looking. So the pocket operator, sorry. We've got the pocket operators. Anyway, you can purchase them off their website here. And some of this stuff is actually a lot cheaper than what it usually is. For example, you got the Street Fighter pocket operators, only $89. I believe they're usually like 120 or something like that. They're really cool. I love the pocket operators. They're just a lot of fun. My son, he's only 3 years old, and he plays with it. And he can make little noises, more or less, not the whole full songs or anything, but I think it's a good place to learn. But, you know, they got a bunch of things on sale here. They've got their OD11. Is that what it was called? Yeah, we looked at this on the podcast a little while ago. It's basically their sort of boombox speaker thing, but it's Bluetooth. It does more than that. It's not just a Bluetooth speaker. It has a synthesizer on board, connected to radio. It does all weird, trippy stuff. You've got their personal monitor, the M1 cases. You know, even I might be interested in that OP1 case there. That looks pretty cool. They got some nice, you know, bit of merch going on here. Anyway, you get the idea. You got bundles. Oh, you can get the Street Fighter. I'm interested in this. The Street Fighter and the Mega Man collection is on sale for $129, which is the Capcom series. I love those games. They take me back to the nostalgic era of my teenagehood, and I just love anything by Capcom from the 90s is my absolute favorite. And the fact that it's here available as little samples in these pocket operators, I'm very interested in getting something like that just for a bit of fun, you know. But yeah, I just thought it was worth a mention. I like Teenage Engineering. I like what they do. And now there's a little sale there if you've been eyeing it off and you're interested in, you know, maybe getting something for yourself. Little Chrissy present for your friends or your music producer friends. Check out Teenage Engineering website. All right, next one comes to us from our friends at Roli. And this is a new expansion pack. Of course, they release expansion packs every single week. But we love Roli, and the expansion packs are always awesome. This is for my orchestral, not just orchestral friends. These could be people who write music or scores for TV, film, video games. This expansion pack will fit that bill. And we're going to have a quick listen to it here. So before I do play back the audio for you and the video, compare an entire orchestra with orchestral ensemble meticulously sampled from recordings of large professional ensembles and premium sound packs featuring high detailed string, woodwind and brass presets alongside intricate blends that form an entire orchestra. Perfect for sweeping cinematic scores or adding a classic touch to any track, Orchestral Ensembles is a world-class showcase of traditional acoustic findings, new life within the expressive electronic world of Equator 2. It's compatible with the Roli Studio Player if you have that and Equator 2. It includes 51 MPE MIDI polyphonic expressive and 52 by standard MIDI presets. Let's just have a listen. Let's have a relax here on the pod. Let's chill out. This is the last. Basically, I think this is my last podcast for the year. I mean, there's 2 more coming, but they're going to be pre-records. In fact, the next podcast has already been done. It's in the bag. It's coming out midweek too. If I didn't say it already, I said it at the start of the podcast. Don't forget midweek, top 10 plugins for the year. Very exciting indeed. And then there'll be one final podcast just to meet my 50 podcasts for the year criteria. Anyway, let's relax. Let's play this video for you guys. Come on, let's do it. Make it big here. Have a listen to this. Just remember, this is an expansion pack, okay? No real instruments. Wow, a very, very good demo. As always, Roli, always delivering on the demos. Still got a bit of audio going there. Really nice, actually. Really well done demo. And if you were watching the video there, you saw it's just one dude was commanding the whole orchestra, as you would say. And that was one person. And it sounded amazing. It sounded big. And keep in mind, these are not samples. These are using the engine of Equator 2. Now that's what you need to keep in mind. It's not a sample-based library. It's using the engine. So it's using synthesis to create those sounds. And that's what boggles my mind, I think, in this day and age, is that how good synthesis is sounding. Because for those of you who might be younger, may not be aware, but it's been almost impossible to get synthesis to sound realistic, especially on horns. And it's not so much strings have sort of been there for a while, but horns and strings as well. But I mean, strings have been much better over the last 10 or so years. But keeping in mind that whole thing running off Equator 2 engine, I think it sounds really bonkers, to be honest. Roli, impressive company with their sound expansions and what they're doing on the back end of their software. Really well done and really cool to see. if you're a scorer or you're somebody who writes music, you know, this is for you. Someone who writes music for, what was it, on TV, video games, movies, not even that. If you like to score this sort of music, then you got to get this expansion pack. And you got to check out Equator 2 and Roli Studio Play. They're just phenomenal. Absolutely love them. All right, last piece of news. Yes, I told you it's a little bit light on for the news. It is the end of the year, guys. What do you expect? There's not much news going around at the moment. We have another product called Quadra, which was released around the same time as Cherry Audio's Quadra, which I've done a review on. You should check that out on the YouTube. One of my latest videos up there at the moment. But this one actually comes to us from UVI. It's called Quadra. It's quite different to the analog emulation Quadra that we reviewed on the channel by Cherry Audio. Quite different indeed. It's sample-based instrument here. So it's a multi-instrument and sequence designer, deep sampling from a variety of wood and metallic instruments, 4 layers, morphable instruments. So it's morphable between your 4, hence that's why it's called Quadra, with advanced arpeggiators, MIDI effects, and more. Artful and dynamic preset library, offers instant inspiration across many styles. And yeah, let's see what's this video? Is this a little theatrical trailer? Let's play this back. This looks cool. Oh, it looks, I thought it was Squid Game for a second. All right, sampling lots of instruments. So for those of you listening on the podcast, this trailer doesn't really do much, I don't think, but more or less just showing, you know, that they were sampling bunches of instruments. You can see the GUI looks beautiful. UVI does great GUIs. There you go, you can hear some of the instruments. 4 morphable layers. Arpeggiator, MIDI effects. And let's have a quick listen here as well. What do we got in terms of sound demo? Here we go. So actually, before we get into listening, we'll listen back to that because I want to hear some of that. I'll just quickly read some of this back for you. So I have a very nice website here on the instrument. So created instrument selection. Quadra provides 4 robust instrument layers that can be used together to create striking and evocative performances. Assign each from a selection of 251 multi-sampled sources, including tubular bells, Thai and Balinese gongs, electric pianos, and keyboards like the Rhodes Celesta, Claviset, Dulcitone, Glockenspiel, Mini Celesta, Papageno bells, my goodness, pianette and stanza keys, mellow instruments such as the vibraphone, marimba, large xylophone, musical toy instruments including music box, toy glockenspiel, and wood xylophone, synthesizers including modular FM and PC bass, wood instruments like the balafon, resonant tubes and blocks, and metal instruments like the Congolese sansa, handpan, Mibira, I don't know if that's how you say it, steel drum, and more, all chosen to complement each other in timbre and playing styles. Look, I am not familiar with all of the orchestral percussion words, okay? I'm going to just put that out there right now. I'm sure those instruments are amazing. Powerful expressive control. Quadra is a creative workspace where you're free to layer sounds to create complex and evolving tones and sequences, or assign them to discrete key zones and perform them discretely. Play sounds directly or augment them in real time with arpeggiators, phrase sequences, and effects to create rhythmic and melodic motifs. Morph between sounds with a mappable XY pad to create movement and narrative, and automate the overall intensity of your soundscape with global dynamic and transient emphasis controls. 4x the fun. So each layer in Quadra is a fully kitted instrument, complete with full ADSR amp and multi-mode envelope control, unison powerful 64-step arpeggiator phase sequences, MIDI effects such as Euclidean emphasis and pitch drift. Wow. Real-time scale quantization, audio effects including a frequency shifter, wave shaper, chorus phaser, and 3-band EQ, reverb, and delay send, and pre-mapped effects like vibrato, tremolo, and second frequency shifter and overdrive that you can perform instantly with the mod wheel on your controller keyboard. Dude, you know this has the works. Being UVI, they're very good at putting their instruments together, and no doubt it's probably using the Falcon player or something like that. It just works really nicely in there. So at the heart of each Quadra instrument layer is a powerful multi-mode 54-step sequencer and MIDI effects, allowing you to quickly add rhythmic grooves, create arpeggiated sequences, add harmonies, and even quantize the incoming notes to specific scales. Choose a global rate, gate length, and max velocity. Then customize your sequence with per step velocity, link, harmonization, pitch offset, octave offset, gate step repeat, and panning. Save your patterns to disk as presets to share to use the handy copy to button to quickly duplicate your finished sequences from one layer to another. Quadra includes a number of MIDI effect modules that allow you to embellish and augment your sequences in creative ways, including Euclidean emphasis, which adds rhythmic accents, MIDI delay, random, and pitch drift, which enrich your sequence, and scale quantizer that allows you to snap all notes to a scale of your choosing. And you can even drag and drop the modified sequences as MIDI into a track of your DAW. So wellspring of inspiration, the musicality of Quadra shines through its factory preset bank. Find instant inspiration with a wide variety of creative visions imparted by your fantastic sound design team, included in-house veterans and industry. I can't even read this here off the website, actually. It's gone absolutely nuts. Whether you're working in film, games, or music, you'll discover a generous collection of imaginative, moving themes and inspiring sound design combinations ready to use in your current projects. Blah, blah, blah. Me blabbing on about this part. Let's just have a listen. Let's had a few listens already. Quadra, Metal and Wood by Tenari. Let's have a listen. Here we go. Nice little sound demo. Let me go to the next one here. Another Metal and Wood. Bit more of a trap inspired beat. Alright, I think we get the idea of Quadra there just by listening to some of those samples. Look, do you need something like this? Sure. If you're into, again, I guess the last two products we looked at there were more, scoring based. I particularly think the craft sweeping orchestral stuff from Equator 2 by Roli was really impressive. This Quadra instrument sounds okay. Maybe those demos aren't the best. Let's see if we can get one more demo there. Not really doing it for me, to be honest, but you do get the idea of sort of what's included, I guess. Let's have a listen to this. That was a bit better, that demo. I liked the percussion. The percussion sounded quite realistic in that demo. Again, it comes down, those demos do actually make a difference. If you got a good demo, really shines the product. That last one was good. It gave a good idea of the percussion. Not sure about those strings, sounded pretty synthetic actually. It didn't sound real at all, but that might not have been anything to do with Quadra, of course. Look, I think check it out if you're interested. You like UVI products, you know it's going to be good. And the idea of morphing those instruments together is kind of a nice idea. and UVI do good things. All right, guys. Well, look, that's gonna leave us for today's podcast, and there's gonna be one more podcast at the end of the year. Next week's podcast is already pre-recorded. Top 10 plugins for the year. Check that out. It's gonna come out midweek, and yeah, as I say, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I know I've blabbed on, but look, that's what podcasts are for. That's why people do podcasts. There's people like me who have like verbal diarrhea. We like to speak a lot in that's probably the worst way of putting it. But it is. Podcasts are great for people who just want to talk. And that's why I ended up doing the podcast, because I couldn't do this in my YouTube videos. They have to be so quick. And, well, they don't have to be, but YouTube prefers a quicker format, whereas podcasts is good for long form. You want to talk. You want to get things off your chest. You guys are listening to me. I don't know why you're listening to me. I don't know why you're still listening to me, especially at the end of the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's podcast, leave it a review. I love getting your feedback. 5 stars or 5 stars or 5 stars. I don't know. One of those, maybe. And put a comment there as well. I read all of it, and I love hearing from you guys as well. emlyninthemix@gmail.com. If you're a software dev, music dev, hardware, studio recording, music technology person, you want to reach out to me, please do. I'll feature your product if you are interested in doing that. Until next time, I guess I will be back next week. Don't know if it's going to be pre-recorded, but we're at the end of the year now. Again, yeah, I'll do it in the very last podcast. I'll say, Happy New Year or whatever. All right, guys. All right, peace out. Boom.